big deal. Now, World War I was so big and so important that it's got a whole bunch of different names. Obviously, it wasn't always World War I, because you're not going to call it World War I until you have World War II, right? So what did they call it before that? It was something called the Great War. Also, I want to point out right away, those of you taking notes, remember that you could get this slideshow anytime you want. And one of the reasons why Archer is recording this is because what's important is what I'm saying, not what's on the slideshow. Just getting these notes is not good enough. So your focus should be on listening and getting what's from me, not just copying stuff down. If you can do both perfectly, that's better. But again, make sure you're listening to what I'm saying. Like, for example, follow the Eagles, I wouldn't even bother writing that down. I've never heard that before. This is someone else's slideshow that I'm using to talk to you, okay? The Family Feud one I think is kind of interesting because World War I was so many different kinds of wars. Yes, it was a great war, it was a world war, but it also was a family feud, literally. You had, as we're going to see, kings who were on opposite sides who were literally cousins. For example, Tsar Nicholas II and Kaiser Wilhelm II were both cousins. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So it literally was a family feud in some way. Then these last two ones, the war to end all wars and the war to make the world safe for democracy, this is what the United States called it. The reason the United States called it that is because they didn't come into the war until it was almost over, literally. 3/4 over at least was when they finally got in. And they came in with this kind of crusade mentality, the cavalry coming over the hill just at the right time. And they were going to make the world safe for democracy. This would be the last war that humanity would ever fight. That was the attitude. I kind of want you to remember that when we get to the end of the war, that you've got this kind of an attitude. This will never happen again. And of course, one of our first questions, therefore, is, well, boy, they screwed up. How come? Because it obviously wasn't the last war that was ever fought. Okay, so World War I in itself just has so many different names of it. And of course, like everything we've talked about, it has underlying causes and an immediate cause. These are so easy and also just straight out blatant. I've never seen an event with more straightforward underlying causes than World War I. So hopefully you understand everything I'm talking about. The most basic of all underlying causes is the way that the two sides are divided up, right? Now don't mess up here. These middle group, who are often called the Central Powers for obvious reasons, the Central Powers, they were known as the Triple Alliance, capital A. It's Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy were the Triple Alliance. Again, capital A. Why am I spending so much time on this? Because I have just about every student gets these questions wrong. Because as Americans, you know World War I a little bit, and you know that we fought on England's side. And the word for your friend in a war is your ally, little a. So if you're an American, England was your ally. That's little a. England was a member of the Triple Entente, not the Triple Alliance. Triple Alliance, capital A, is Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. The allies of America were the Triple Entente. Entente is a French word. It means friend.
How do you spell that?
Of England, France, and Russia. E-N-T-E-N-T-E, Entente. Okay? So that's one side against the other. And these were very rigid alliances. You know, Bismarck is gone. He's been dismissed by the Kaiser. So he's not making all these complicated, crazy alliances like he would always do. Instead, we have two alliances. It's that simple. And if you get invaded, then your ally helps you. Okay? So that was a major reason for the war, were these alliance systems. And then, of course, very, very importantly, who can multitask? Amanda, can you multitask a little?
Sure.
All right, can you move your desk all the way over here, please?
Okay.
And when I say please, or look at you, or just say your name, I need you to press the down arrow to go to the next slide if you can do that. So you can just move right next to the computer if you want. Okay? Remember that the Balkans is a mountain chain. It's right here. And it's called the powder keg of Europe. Of all the underlying causes, this one is probably the most significant. Right? Because what you have here, look, you've got 1, 2, 3 empires all meeting in this one spot. Remember also that the Austrian Empire, really, and the Ottoman Empire for 500 years have been fighting over this land. Okay? The Ottoman Empire was nicknamed the sick man of Europe. Why? Because it was slowly receding, slowly dying. Amanda, show real quick. Just in the short period of time from 1878, go down one. Down arrow, please. in 1914, you can see the Ottoman Empire has already gotten down to here. Okay, go back. And here you really can see that if you're Russia, man, and keep this really in mind, if the Russians can come into this space, instead of the Austrians, then look what Russia can get. They can get their fleet out of the Black Sea and into the Mediterranean and beyond. All right, so Russia is eyeing this, you know, with, oh wow, I can't wait to get there. Austro-Hungarian Empire is trying to come in there, and the Ottoman Empire is trying to prevent itself from falling. So this one area, the Balkans, is absolutely critical. That's why they call it the powder keg. Hopefully you know what a powder keg is. One match and the whole thing blows up. Amanda, please. Go two. Okay, add one more. What I want you to look at here, and you don't need to know all these guys' names, one more, is the family resemblance. Remember I talked about this before. Here is Tsar Nicholas II. Look how much it looks like his cousin George V of England. Okay, these guys are direct cousins. And they're also cousins with Kaiser Wilhelm. Now, he doesn't look the same as much because of his helmet and he's shaved differently, all right? But Wilhelm II and Nicholas II were direct first cousins. They had the same grandmother, Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria of England had so many kids, and her kids had so many kids, that almost all of the royal families of Europe were related somehow. Nicholas and Wilhelm were first cousins. In fact, what was kind of humorous about this, later on, just before the war happens, when it looks like it's going to happen, you have what's known as the famous Willie-Nicky telegrams. Willie and Nicky are telegramming each other. I don't want to fight you, cuz. Yeah, I don't want to fight you either. But my generals really want to fight. So do I. Can you get your generals? So this, I don't know. Can you get your that? Back and forth and back and forth. The famous Willie-Nicky telegrams. They don't really want to fight because they're the same family. This family relationship between these guys is going to just cause so many things. It's going to blow your mind. I got this amazing story. I can't wait to tell you Monday. All right, but again, just kind of see that we've got this family thing going on as well. And you don't really need to know all these names so much. You know, George V, yes, he's the cousin. But remember, England's a democracy. So just the fact that this guy's a king doesn't really give him that much power. Again, it's just more of something interesting to know. Major factor was something called militarism. It should be obvious what militarism is, building up of your weapons, of your military, all right? And we can see that there was a major trend towards this. Look at how much more money they are spending as the years go on. In the years between 1910 and 1914, look at how much more Germany is spending, okay? And understand that if everybody's building tanks, no, not tanks, sorry. If everyone's, you know, building ships, if they're building guns, if they're getting bigger armies, they're also making plans. So by 1914, everybody's got these plans for war. And they got all these weapons. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. Because you think about it, if you're a general, you made all these plans, you worked out the whole thing, and darn it, I really want to see if it's going to work. Man, I need a war, man. How am I ever going to know if this plan didn't work if we don't fight the war? Militarism was one of the major causes of wars all the time. And in World War I, it was way up there. Especially with the Germans. Please. Finally, before I move on just a little bit here, you of course have the whole rivalry between economies and empire and stuff like that. You've got the whole imperialism, right? The sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, how about the German Empire? What about the French Empire? Ours is bigger. No, yours is bigger. Remember the whole scramble for Africa. What are they doing? Oh, he's got that part of Africa. I got to get that part of Africa. So everybody's competing for everything. And we even know that by 1900, Germany's economy is actually surpassing England's. Here's another way to think of it. Social Darwinist, right? If the white man is better than the brown man and the yellow man and all the other men, then which white man's better than which? See, if I'm the top and I'm a Frenchman, well, I'm better than that German, aren't I? So the white men start dividing themselves up. And that brings us to our next point, the whole concept of nationalism. This is when you have got the biggest nationalism ever in human history. I am not a Catholic or a Christian or a Muslim or a Protestant or a European or a human. I am a Frenchman. I am a British. Okay? That's how I see myself. And me sitting back